Welcome back to Geek News Now Live. This is where we here at Geek News Now, contributors and other, YouTubers, creators, other people in the industry get together and talk about the geeky stuff that is happening right now. This episode today, we are talking about the future of the MCU and things like Deadpool 3, WandaVision, everything that's coming up in the next phase, and all the good stuff that goes along with that. I'm very delighted to be here myself. My name is Chris. I'm basically in charge of the YouTube channel, and I run the Geek News Now live streams, and I make the music videos and Mandalorian videos that you love so much. I'm joined today by some great guests, and I'll just let them start introducing themselves, starting with Debbie.
Hey, I'm Debbie, big geek about everything, and I'm part of the GNN social media squad.
All right, and Cam, moving right along.
Hey everybody, Cam of Cam and Focus here. Glad to be here. I'm definitely ready to talk about Marvel after, now that I've had the weekend to stew over what we just saw.
And Cam, you make videos for us on the YouTube channel. He's Cam of Cam and Focus. He's making those great YouTube videos of delving into the films. You just did one on Alien, which was pretty awesome.
I did. It was a good one. I felt like I was kind of overdue for a video like that. Kind of stepping outside of Star Wars. So I'm glad I was able to finally do that.
Absolutely, man. And moving down to David. Want to introduce yourself, David?
Did we lose him?
I think we might have.
Hi, my name's David Furr. I am a staff writer for GNN.
And he's here with us today. Yeah, you're fading in and out there. We had a little bit of trouble with that in one of our previous episodes. I'm hoping that's going to clear itself up as we move along, but we'll see. But David actually, yes, he's one of our contributors on the website. He put out the Deadpool article that I did a whole live stream about right off the butt. So glad to have him here. Hopefully the choppiness will end. John.
Hi, everybody. I am John from the Geek and I podcast, part of the Geek News Now network as well.
And we're glad to have you here. So we can talk about, again, the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We're going to hold WandaVision for the end, just in case, spoilers, just because it's brand new. Some people haven't got a chance to see it yet. So we will be getting to WandaVision. We're going to save that a bit to the end, though. And to start, I guess we'll just, start with talking about the Deadpool news. Now, we know that Deadpool, as part of the Fox buyout, Disney bought out Fox. Deadpool goes along with that. I was initially concerned by the news that Deadpool was going to be controlled by Disney because of that, necessary R rating. If you're going to do a Deadpool, if it's going to be a Deadpool movie and you're going to do it right, you pretty much need that R rating, in my opinion. And I was worried about Disney for that, but Disney has come out and say it is going to be R-rated, and Ryan Reynolds is heavily involved with writing the script. So I just wanted to get your guys' reaction on what you think about Deadpool 3 and what are your thoughts on that movie now under Disney? John, why don't you take us away? What do you think about it?
Disney does a lot of R-rated movies, just not under the Disney banner. And just because it's owned by Disney, I don't think that, if you have a movie that does not have that castle in the beginning, it can be rated R. I didn't have any worries about it. I think they're going to go for the money, and the money will be in the R rating.
And so when you say Disney makes a lot of R-rated movies, a lot of people probably are surprised by that. You think Disney, you don't think R-rated, but they do it under different studios.
Correct. Yeah.
So for instance, I think Reservoir Dogs was technically Touchstone, which was owned by Disney at the time. And I'm not sure if it was that movie or another Tarantino movie, but people are like, Disney doesn't do this. It's like, well, usually just under different umbrellas. Which makes it interesting though, because that's kind of the problem as I saw it with Deadpool. Deadpool is very much superhero. He very much looks like if you don't know superheroes, if you don't know one from the other, he very much looks like he's just part of a superhero team. And so parents and ignorant people might just be like, hey, let's send my kid to this superhero movie and then complain about it when we find out, even though it's rated R and even though it's stuff like that. So that's the thing. Yes, Disney can make R-rated movies, but this one is going to have to be very much under that Marvel. So do you think, John, like you were talking about how like Disney does make art, but do you think that that's going to have an impact? Do you think they're going to try and market it a different way?
No, they'll probably take the same route that 20th Century Fox took with Logan. Because Logan was a rated R movie and it was an extreme hit. And to me, that year, that was the best picture of that year. So I think they're just going to follow, whatever the 20th Century Fox model was, and throw it at us that way. And I think Ryan Reynolds will get whatever he wants.
Oh, absolutely.
That's a good idea to keep Ryan Reynolds, not even like happy, not even that, but he is a big part of that character, not just in making the character what it is, but also in the writing, also in the first movie coming out at all. He released that test footage, and then that's how that movie ended up getting made, was because like he was, that committed, that involved with the character. And so that was, again, one of the good things that I saw from the recent news release about Deadpool 3 was, A, it is going to be R-rated, and B, Ryan Reynolds is working with them on the script. So there's definitely two positives, in my opinion. Debbie, what did you think about the Deadpool news? What do you think about it? Deadpool 3.
I was pretty excited, but like you, I was a little concerned that it was under Disney, but just like John pointed out, they have done other R-rated movies. So I was pretty excited, and I'm glad it's going to be R-rated, because you can't have the Merc with the mouth without it being an R-rated movie. So I was pretty excited about that.
Well, yep. I may be in the minority, but I think Once Upon a Deadpool was more entertaining than Deadpool 2. I don't need all the graphic violence and the swear words for it to be funny to me. That is just where I come from. And just
for those of you who might not know what that is, that was when Deadpool 2 came out, they came out with a second version of it, which had intercut with like Fred Savage. So again, it was like a Christmas version that they made PG-13. It was a PG-13 Deadpool movie. And I saw it as them kind of like testing the waters for like, can they do this? And most people that I heard from weren't as big a fan. So John, for you, you're like the gratuitous violence and stuff like that. So let me ask you this, John. Do you think that they should do both versions in the future? Do you think like that's the way they should do it? They should have the option, or do you think they should just stick with one?
Well, I don't think as far as theatrical releases, they should do two versions. I've always said the made-for-TV version should be included on every DVD or Blu-ray disc that comes out. The one that you will see on, TNT in the middle of the night. That version should be available, because there are some things that I want my kids to watch, when they were young, that I wouldn't let them, because it wasn't, the kind of programming I would let them have until it came out for the made-for-TV version.
Yippee-ki-yay, Melon Farmer.
And I think it's kind of interesting, though, now that we're talking about this, because you say that you don't like the swearing, the graphic violence and whatnot, which I totally understand. And it's funny because the swearing and graphic violence is such a Deadpool thing to do. But then you have movies like Once Upon a Deadpool, where he's making fun of himself for not being able to do that. That is still very much a Deadpool thing to do. So I think that there's benefit on both ends to me. I think that if someone knows who Deadpool is and knows the kind of character that he is, at his core, I think that someone can watch the PG-13 version and get just as much enjoyment out of it as someone who watches the rated R version.
Yeah, because it was, I dragged the first Deadpool was the first movie in, I can't even tell you how many years, that I saw 3 times in theaters. it was the first one that I went back multiple times and bought a ticket for.
Mm-hmm.
And I dragged my wife to it once, to one of those showings. And she's like, that was really funny, but I could have done without all the language. So, there is a crowd out there that, doesn't want the typical Deadpool stuff, but wants the actual fun and frivolity of what the breaking the fourth wall can actually do for a film.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're full of shit.
And I don't know if y'all can hear me or not.
We can hear you.
David, tell us what you think about Deadpool 3. Tell us what you think.
Okay. I will say this. I've got Deadpool 3, it's amazing. I'm excited over the moon for it. The Deadpool, Once Upon a Deadpool, I thought that was one of the greatest things ever. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great that they had toned it down. I have an 11-year-old son. He wanted to watch Deadpool, and to this day, he still hasn't seen the first one. He's seen Once Upon a Deadpool. He loves that movie because he finally got to see a Deadpool movie. It was something that he was able to go and enjoy, and I didn't have to worry about it as far as, that's a bit much for him at that age. So having a toned down version to where, like Chris, you were saying, where it's like, yeah, give him the option. Say, hey, look, you can go to theater A and see the dirty, ugly mom and dad only version, or go to theater B and at least the kids can see it and get the same movie without all the bad stuff.
Yeah, could you imagine how many little kids would flock to a Deadpool movie that was nothing but like Pokemon jokes, just clean Pokemon and pop culture jokes? They would absolutely eat it up.
And you don't really have to do much other than voiceover because he's wearing a mask.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no lip sync problems there anyway.
Is the mask muffling my voice? I actually know that it is. I am going to take this off.
Not enough.
Honestly, I was kind of hoping that we would go through the entire rest of the video with with you with the mask on and have nobody mention it or acknowledge it at all. It's just, that's how it is now.
He probably doesn't smell good under that mask, though.
What mask? And when I take this one on, it's just Wolverine right underneath. But actually, that is one of the things, and I'm going to take this mask off after I say this, because I know it does mess with my voice. But Deadpool, yeah, I like seeing the R-rated stuff, but he doesn't have to be R-rated. That's actually one of the great things about him, is his self-awareness, and that he caters his jokes to what audience he's currently doing. Like when he was on Ultimate Spider-Man, and he couldn't say kill people, so he had to say, I'm going to not alive them. All right, I'm taking this.
Oh, that's funny. I never heard that, honestly. I haven't watched that. I feel like I'm missing out now.
But where do you think, as far as Deadpool's villains, where do you think they come in as far as having to be, PG-13ified, shall we say?
Well, the interesting thing is, and I guess this will get us in now to talking about kind of the future of the MCU a little bit more than just Deadpool. But, talking about Disney doing a Deadpool movie obviously means that, again, Disney has bought out Fox. That means they also control people like the Fantastic Four and other mutants. So I guess another thing we could talk about is, how do you think the mutants are going to be entering the MCU? I have my theories, but I'm interested to hear yours. Debbie, do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't have any particular theories outside of, I've heard rumors about rebooting the whole mutant thing. Not sure I really agree with that. I would like for them to continue on as they have been, but that's just one of the theories I've heard, is that they're going to reboot the whole mutant thing.
I've heard that, and I think that's probably likely. Other than Deadpool, obviously, you're still going to be Ryan Reynolds. My guess is that pretty much most of the stuff that was under the Fox banner before that is not going to be transitioning over. Maybe they would go for somebody like Patrick Stewart or someone just to get that big, like, look, it's Professor X type thing. But I think they're going to try and do like a lot of they're like, it's mutants now, but like in the MCU, X-Men over here. So we're going to do our own thing to make it separate from like that thing that you knew before. That's what I think. Cam?
Well, I mean, now that Marvel is definitely, toying with, setting up the multiverse and everything. I mean, honestly, as basic as this probably sounds, I'm thinking that the way that they're going to introduce the X-Men is just the X-Men universe is just an alternate universe of superheroes. You know what I mean? It's like the X-Men are in this universe are the Avengers in this universe.
So you still think they're going to be like separate, like by different dimensions or something? Because I was thinking,
yeah. Well, I think that could be how they're going to go at first, and honestly, I feel like down the line, once they do like a second X-Men movie or whatever kind of movie it's going to be, watch there be some kind of end credit scene where Doctor Strange just pops up out of some interdimensional portal and says, "Hey, I need to talk to you."
well, a lot of people are thinking that's what like partially Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is going to touch on, that kind of thing. A lot of people are also suggesting WandaVision. Anyone that's seen the first 2 episodes, there have been some subtle clues to some larger Marvel things that we haven't seen yet. I'm not going to get into that yet, but again, that's WandaVision. We already know Wanda Maximoff got her powers from the Mind Stone. She has reality-changing powers, and that is probably going to come into play. The fact that pretty much leads into Doctor Strange, which pretty much leads into Spider-Man, and we've heard rumors about everyone and their mother being in Spider-Man. Tim Allen reprising his role as the Santa Claus in Spider-Man 3. Have you heard about that? Like, everybody's coming back. Like, the rumors have been all over the place with that. It sounds like they're going to have some sort of like multiversal event, especially Multiverse of Madness, to like bring. That's my theory. Is that's what's going to kind of like crash it off. And then we're going to be seeing like the effects of that throughout the rest of this phase. My guess, anyway. John, what are your thoughts on the matter?
Well, I do think it all will come down to what happens in WandaVision. From what I'm gathering, and again, you said you wanted to wait until the end because of spoilers, but it looks like this whole thing is set up for her to have kids. So,
and you could see that in the previews. So
yeah,
that's not really a spoiler.
It could be that this is the way that they figure out how to hatch mutants.
And if you're a fan of the comics, I'm pretty sure she had twins in the comics, and she is a twin. And also, she's also the mutant that she erased mutant powers from existence in the comics. And they actually alluded to that in one of like the previews for the show. But in the reverse sense, like, so instead of as in the comics where she was the end of all mutants, now in the MCU she'll be the beginning, so to speak. David, any thoughts on that? X-Men in the MCU?
Well, I think we lost him. I don't see his fan blinking.
Trying to bring them into a. Am I still here? Can you hear me? Yep.
Yeah, I think you just are slightly delayed.
Yeah, as far as the multiverse goes, I mean, I like the idea, and they kind of hinted at it. Are you still there?
Yep.
We can hear you.
There is a little bit of a delay.
My computer. Okay, my computer's locking up, so mine must be the culprit here. So, I think so. As far as the multiverse goes, I mean, they kind of sort of touched on it in the Spider.
Just keep talking. Because his computer, I think what's happening is his computer's freezing up, and so it looks like it's
I'll
locking
keep
up.
talking.
But we can
So
hear
they
you.
touched on it in Spider-Man: Far From Home.
There it is.
Okay, so you're gonna hear me. So they touched on it in Spider-Man in Far From Home. They brought in the whole Mysterio. Yeah, am I coming in now? I keep getting I'm laughing at.
Bro, yeah, you've been coming in. Like, don't stop talking.
Okay. Spider-Man: Multiverse of Madness. They touched on it with Mysterio, and the whole thing with Mysterio was that he was from a different universe. Even though that was fake, they still touched on it. And now you have Doctor Strange with the Multiverse of Madness. Are they going to touch on a multiverse? Yeah, it's possible. Is that a good way to introduce the X-Men? Yes, that's a great way to introduce the X-Men. Bring them in for. Will it be the same X-Men that we saw in First Class and Dark Phoenix and Days of Future Past? Honestly, I hope not. I think they need to reboot if they're going to.
Okay, and that time it actually did cut out. So, but I hear what you're saying. They did. It was touched on in the Spider-Verse, so they talked about multiple universes in that. Of course, that's not like MCU canon, I guess, as you would call it. But again, they did touch on the multiverse idea, which might be a little bit out there for people that aren't necessarily comics fans. If you're comics fans, obviously you're familiar with like the New 52, multiverse on different Earths from DC Universe and the multiverse from Marvel Comics. You're very familiar with that. And so now they're going to put this thing into play. I'm guessing that that's going to be their, again, in-universe explanation for the buyouts that they just had. And that's how you're going to have things like the Fantastic Four happening. You're going to have these new enemies coming in, probably like Doctor Doom, all different kinds of things coming in. That the only reason they didn't do it sooner was, again, that they just didn't own it. They weren't allowed to have the rights to it. And one of the things I'm actually looking forward to is a good Fantastic Four movie, which I'm not sure that we've got a really good one yet.
No, we absolutely haven't. I mean, honestly, I feel like the best Fantastic Four movie so far has been the first one that came out, I think, in 2004, so somewhere around there. Well, we had the 1992 version, which I think was straight to VHS actually, and it was so bad. It was basically the Batman and Robin version of the Fantastic Four, and it was just awful. But and then we had Fan Four Stick back in 2014, and that was dreadful also.
Now, that was the reboot, right? The reboot.
Yeah, that was the one with Miles Teller, Michael B. Jordan.
And what? I know that movie got dragged under the bus, but let me tell you, it deserved it because
yeah,
that is just a terrible movie.
Yeah.
I rewatched it recently just to see. I was like, it couldn't have been that bad, like, right? Like, what? And then I'm watching it, and it's past the halfway point of the movie,
and nothing happens.
Over. They haven't once exhibited a superpower yet, even to begun like messing up with it. Because at some point, you have to make mistakes to grow from your mistakes, to learn how to use it. They haven't even gotten to that, and I'm like, this is not how you do this kind of movie.
Yeah, well, I mean, basically, it was a 2-act film, and then once it was about time to reach the climax, it just went and just flatlined. So,
well,
I mean, it's
like Deadpool said in Deadpool 2, if we do this right, we go home early. No Act 3.
If we do everything right, no Act 3. Again, something I liked about Deadpool, and again, Deadpool 2. What are those things? Superpower dampening cuffs. They limit your superpowers. That would have been useful in Act 1, when he's trying to kill himself. So, yeah. Again, being that self-awareness, when you can work it well, works great with Deadpool. And John, did we have Speaking of Deadpool, did we have a special guest from Deadpool 2?
He hasn't arrived yet, so I do not have confirmation that he is here, but
Okay.
he will, from what I understand, he will be logging in.
We may be getting a special guest from Deadpool 2. I'm looking forward to it, but we'll be waiting on that from John. Another, I think one of the next things coming out from Disney Plus, from the MCU, is the Winter Soldier and the Falcon and Loki. Which one of those is coming out first, you guys?
Winter Soldier.
Yeah, Falcon and Winter Soldier's coming out first. I think it starts in March. Yeah.
So it's WandaVision, and then Winter Soldier.
Yep.
And Falcon, and then Loki.
Yeah.
And then is it then Multiverse of Madness after that? I need to look at this thing again.
I don't remember.
And also,
don't worry, it'll change by the end of the day.
It probably will change because they've been, pushing things back, releasing things on different dates. Where's Black Widow? Did that come out? Did I miss that coming out?
No. I think it's one of those ones that got pushed back to like October of this year.
Oh my gosh, because I thought for sure they were going to release that before WandaVision, if only even on Disney Plus or something. But wow.
Yeah, for some reason, a lot of projects got pushed back to October of this year. Like Dune. Dune was supposed to come out last month. And
yeah, they pushed that back almost a full year.
I was so angry.
That was one of the most depressing things for me. And so what do you think with the COVID and everything like that, the MCU, a lot of their stuff coming up is streaming events. Do you think, I mean, it's not like they were planning for this virus, but they were definitely, we're planning on doing a lot more streaming things going forward. Do you think this next phase of the MCU is to get just to get people to use Disney Plus?
I don't know. I think, I know that, studios like WB have, decided to, hey, we're going to have a theatrical release for these big projects, but then at the same time, we're going to also release it on HBO Max. So I feel like, as unfortunate as it is, I feel like that streaming, especially now with COVID, is going to end up killing the theater business. Because why would someone go to a theater now if they can just watch it on a streaming service?
And right now, while we're still dealing with COVID stuff and things like that, I totally get it. But do you think once theaters are open and everything's like that, do you think it'll actually be the same way? Like, you think a lot of people would still be, I'll just stay home and watch it at home? I think immediately after, a lot of people are going to want to be getting out. That's just
yeah. I don't know. I mean,
but again, you won't be able to have things like WandaVision or Falcon and the Winter Soldier or Loki released in theaters. That wouldn't work because they're a miniseries essentially. So like that's kind of the thing. Like even if COVID hadn't happened and they were still releasing movies in theaters, they were also planning on starting to release these things, these miniseries. So like they were clearly like this was how they were planning on getting people on board at Disney Plus. Hey, you like the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, when you go see those movies? Well, this is the stuff that ties all, this is the official stuff that ties it all together. So make sure, and guess what? If you have that streaming service, you can also watch all the movies. I think it was like a total planned tie-in for sure, and a good system, a smart idea. And then COVID made it actually that much easier for them. Because they were preparing for this sort of thing. They were already like really heavily preparing the streaming service. Other places like HBO Plus and whatnot, they're scrambling right now. Like they're scrambling to get people to subscribe. They're saying, hey, we're releasing our entire 2021 slate online. Like if you have HBO Max, you can watch it from home. Like that's something that we're seeing Disney Plus is not doing. They're not releasing, as far as I know, Black Widow on Disney that same way. So it's like you could see, like, because they don't need to. What do you think, John? Like, do you think they've definitely got like an edge up in this whole streaming war that's now upon us?
Who's that? Warner Brothers?
I was going to say Disney Plus.
You know, it's hard to say because there's nothing on Disney Plus that I would watch other than Star Wars or Marvel. Everything else, you know, it does not interest me. I don't even have the service. You know, my son sends me the link to, you know, his, and I watch 2 shows a week, and that's it. So I don't. There's nothing that I want to watch on Disney.
Do you have a different streaming service that you use way more?
Not really.
I was just curious, as if like
I just do Netflix because it's free with my mobile service.
Sure.
But yeah, as far as television, you know, and these TV shows, there's really nothing that excites me that's on. You know, especially when, you know, once Mandalorian's over, you know, I'm out.
Well, let me ask you this. Actually, John, did the announcement that HBO Max is going to have their movies coming out on their streaming service, their slate, like which includes things like The Matrix 4, Dune, obviously Wonder Woman already came out, but things like that. Did that at all motivate you to get that streaming service? Like, did that at any point, did you think, oh, maybe I'll have to get that so I can get those movies?
Not those movies in particular, but the one movie that I was waiting for last year was King Kong.
Oh, King Kong versus Godzilla, right? That's another one that is also on that. So, do you think you'll be getting it just for that month?
Well, it depends. If they're releasing the whole slate, you know, for the whole year, I might do that because I would probably go see those movies in theaters anyway. You know, I definitely go see Matrix. I would definitely want to see King Kong. I would definitely want to see, you know, I do want to watch the Justice League. You know,
Snyder Cut. And
there's that. You know, so right now, I think for me, the Warner service has the HBO Max has a leg up on Disney.
And they also have all of the Justice League, like the animated stuff that DC's been doing. And if you're not aware, the last like 10 years of DC animated films have been amazing. Top tier, interconnected stories, 100% amazing. It's like they're as good as the Marvel movies, but they're DC and they're animated. And that's all going to be available again on HBO Max, I think is what it's called. But so, like, Cam, did the announcement that HBO Max is like releasing their slate of movies, did that make you want to like, I got to go get HBO Max?
Not really. Well, because most of these movies that are getting released, I'll be able to catch at some other point down the line. Releasing a movie on a streaming service, I don't think is, well, me personally, I don't think it doesn't offer the same experience as going to a theater and really experiencing the film. Yeah, I mean, I like the roster that they've put out for films that they'll be releasing on HBO Max, or HBO Plus, whatever it's called. But it's not something that I feel like I really need to rush to get.
Mm-hmm.
I think something that Disney Plus has over a streaming service like that is most of us that got Disney Plus for things like The Mandalorian and the new Marvel material. Well, we're old enough now to where we've been following it for a very long time. So that's why we have Disney Plus. And then at the same time, most of us that are old enough to have been following it for that long also now have kids. So, you know, what kid these days is going to turn down a Disney movie? Well, young kids. I mean, as soon as you put a cell phone in their hands, it's over. But otherwise, you know, I think that is something that Disney Plus has as a motivating factor for why a lot of people keep it after they watch the shows that they got Disney Plus for.
And I think you're right. And I think part of HBO Max's strategy is that they're only releasing the movies that they're for 30 days. So like when it comes out and hits theaters, it's available on their streaming service for 30 days. After that, it's not available on their streaming service anymore. So one of the things that they're doing there also is that they're releasing these things over the course of the year. So it's not just like you can go watch Dune or The Matrix or everything all in the same month, all at the same time, and then cancel. They're literally making so, oh, is there a movie you wanted to watch? Maybe you didn't care about The Matrix, but maybe you did want to see Dune. So maybe you skip the month where it's Matrix, and then you sign up on Dune month so you get to see Dune, and then maybe you forget to unsubscribe. And so like as many people as they can get in that way, I think that they're trying to get, obviously. And also that's why they're spacing it out in such a way so that they can say, hey, that way you can't just watch them all in one day and for $15 watch our entire 2021 slate. You'll have to sign up a couple times to watch whatever movies you want to watch, unless you're a pirate. Arr.
Nobody here would do that.
Yeah. Oh God, no.
No, I'm sure you'll remember the commercials on those on the VHS. You wouldn't steal a TV.
You wouldn't steal a car. Yeah. Would you steal a movie? You wouldn't murder a person.
Piracy is stealing.
Theft. Yeah. Okay, guy. Run away. Yeah, just don't host the sharing of them, and you should be all right. Anyway, Debbie, you seemed excited for Captain and Captain
Tennille.
I was gonna say Captain America and the Winter Soldier. I was like, that ain't right. Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yes.
Was there a particular reason you're looking forward to that one?
Big Bucky Barnes fan. So,
were you bummed that he is not taking over the Captain America? Like, how do you feel on that? A lot of people think that he should have been the one to be named the new Captain America.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised when Cap handed it over to the Falcon. I was a little bit shocked about that, but I don't think it's going to be, I don't know. I get the impression it might move. Like, Falcon might be Captain America for a while, and then maybe it would move to Bucky. But what do I know? That is my hope and dream. But yeah, I get the impression something like that's going to happen. But I'm happy with the way it is. It's good. I'm just excited to see the series and see what goes on. And I think Disney Plus is, you were talking about HBO Max, where their movies are only available for 30 days. Well, I think with Disney Plus, they're kind of doing the same thing with their series. Because first you're going to have Winter Soldier, and then a month or so later you might have Loki, and then a month later or so you're going to have whatever the next one is up. They're going to stretch it out, so if you're a big Marvel fan, you're going to keep subscribing to the service.
Right, and if you're doing a series, that's the smart way to do it. You stack them back to back, so you have to keep that, that whatever it is, 8 or 10 week subscription, and then the next one comes out for another 8 or 10 weeks, and then the next one comes out for 8 or 10 weeks. Whereas Warner is just saying, here's a 2-hour movie. Once you've seen it, okay, we're gonna get rid of it because
they've got your charge for the month, but
right,
yeah, and that's why I was gonna say. Yes, it's a very similar strategy, but again, Disney is doing it better. They've got the better strategy. They've got the better plan. They had this plan in place. Like that, again, that's what I was saying earlier. They were planning on doing this before COVID and everything like that happened. They were planning on interconnected. They're like, we want to sell Disney Plus. We want people signing up for Disney Plus. The streaming wars are coming. We need to get them in. How are we going to do that? A, The Mandalorian. Let's get them. We got the Star Wars fans. B, how do we take the MCU, the 10-year thing? We've got diehard MCU fans out there. How do we get them? Okay, we start coming out with the miniseries. This miniseries starts in this month, goes through this month, and ends in this month. This miniseries starts at the end of that month, goes through this month, ends in that month. They're interconnected. So you want to be following one into the other, into the other, into the other. So you're watching throughout that entire year-long, however long period, you're invested in the shows that they have coming out. As opposed to, again, like HBO Max, maybe they've got something this month that you want, maybe next month they don't, maybe next one after that. So, like, again, the Disney Plus strategy, they have been working on this. They were planning on this, and it looks to be effective. I know they've got me interested, especially just because, you know, I run shows like this. I talk about stuff like this. I need to be able to see it. And if not even for that, I appreciate the quality of stuff going into stuff like the Mandalorian miniseries, like, which is basically what it is. It's 8 episodes. And since we're now 40 minutes in, I guess we can start talking. We're going to get into a little bit of WandaVision here. Oh, yeah, we're going to get into a little bit of WandaVision here. And I want to say right off the bat about WandaVision, I have a minor gripe, and it's the same gripe I had with The Mandalorian, and its episode lengths are all over the place. And so I also noticed that they released like the first 2 episodes of WandaVision at the same time, I think. So there's 2 episodes out. I watched both of them. And again, episode lengths are nuts. Because the first episode, it says 30 minutes long. The episode ends at the 22-minute mark, and then there's like 8 minutes of random credits. So that's a 22-minute long episode. The next one is 30 minutes long, making, if you would put those together, that's a 52-minute long episode, which is why I'm thinking originally this was supposed to be 6 episodes long, and they've cut it up now to be 9 episodes. And also, if you look at how the second episode ends, I would say, yeah, that was all just 1 episode. Yeah. But that's kind of just me complaining about random episode lengths and stuff like that. It's not a big deal for everyone, I know, but
well, when the first episode ended, I checked the runtime, and I was like, there is a lot of time left. So I go through and I'm like, there's got to be like a post-credit scene or something. But no, it's just the credits again, but in Spanish.
Yep, and that's why I was like, this is padding credits time. This is padding the length of your episode to make it look like, look, it's a 30-minute episode, and the next one says 36 minutes. Oh, look, another 36 minutes. But really, it's a 22-minute episode and like a 30-minute episode, which if you combine them together would be maybe a 50-minute episode if you take out the last time on WandaVision, which I know I just watched the 22-minute episode and you released it at the same. I don't need a reminder. So again, when you cut that out, you have about a 50-minute long episode, which is basically what you'd have for like an hour-long TV program that would have commercials. And so that makes me think, especially when you look at those 2 episodes and how the second one ends, and it's like, that's spoiler alert, that's when they go into color, and it's just like clear, like I can see how you could make that 2 episodes, but I don't think that that's how it was planned. And I think that also has partially to do with the COVID situation. And since they can't put out stuff in theaters, like they might have wanted to put out a movie in theaters, so like we can have them watch on Disney Plus. If they want to watch that, they can go see Black Widow. If they want to go see that, I think they're like people, and this happened with a Wonder Woman 1984 too. They just throw everything into the movie or everything into the show that they can. And like things that would be left on the cutting room floor end up in the movie. Because they're like, let's make this longer.
The Mandalorian had the same thing as far as end credits, because there are all the different countries that this show is playing in, and you are contractually obligated to put everybody that worked on this thing in the credits. So when Wanda is speaking Spanish, you need the Spanish voiceover people to do that, and everybody that worked on it in all these different countries. So I mean, yeah, an 8-minute, 10-minute credit sequence is a little absurd, but there are things that need to be done.
I'm not arguing with the length of the credits. Credits can be as long as they need to be. It's just that they will advertise things like, oh, hey, this last episode is 36 minutes long. Well, not really. Now, when it gets down to when you have like, here's a 30-minute long episode, but only 22 minutes of it are actually the episode, and then say it's a 22-minute long episode plus credits.
Right. It's like a foot-long hot dog that's only 6 inches, but the bun is a foot. So
exactly, yeah. It's like you kind of feel a little bit ripped off. Well, I do anyway. When I hear you're about to get an hour-long episode, and then it's like it was 45 minutes long. It's like, what? If it's just, I don't know. again, that's like a pet peeve of mine more than like a actual real complaint about the thing. As far as my actual thoughts on WandaVision, they did say it's going to be something different. It so far has started off, it's black and white, playing heavily on tropes. And knowing that, I'm enjoying it. And there's lots of Easter eggs. Cam, I know you said you'd watched it. Why don't you give me your thoughts on the... I think it's building towards maybe even, like, I don't know.
Well, it's absolutely building towards Doctor Strange too. You know, because you know the universe bending and all that. You know, that's definitely going to be like right up Doctor Strange's alley when it comes around. And I think the show is very good. I find the writing to be whimsical, but in a way that it still has that underlying kind of feeling that there's much more going on. There are certain lines that people say, throughout the course of the show that, that I heard and I felt like applied to something on the outside of whatever bubble she's living in right now. Something might have had implications towards the conditions of the people, or her own conditions, or her knowledge of what's actually going on. So in that sense, I found the writing to be very interesting. And as far as, the more serious moments where like, someone's either freaking out, doesn't know what's going on, or the big serious scene in the first episode where the old lady is looking at Wanda and she's got this huge grin on her face, begging her to stop whatever's going on, but doing it. But her tone of voice is just still very aloof and very jovial, I guess would be the word.
Stop it. Yeah, she's very much like still in her character as like
I'm having a bit of an audio glitch. I can't hear you.
Oh no. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Your audio's cutting out. I can't hear you.
Can anyone else hear me?
I can hear you.
Uh-oh. We're all over the place.
No, I got you.
Oh, there it goes. Now it's back.
Men, we don't know what we did.
So I don't know what I did. Hopefully the audio is working now. I was going to say that there's definitely things you can hear coming from like the outside world, because she's clearly not in her right mind. The last time we saw Vision, he was a dead guy, so that still hasn't been explained, like why he exists, why everything's black and white. So there's alternate reality things at play. Obviously, the tropes of the TV, like David said, Mary Tyler Moore show, Bewitched, I Love Lucy, all different kinds of these shows. Like there's just references off the wall about all of them. But it kind of is talking about that idyllic sitcom. Oh, the only thing that goes wrong are these like wacky misadventures we have. But at the end of the day, we're all just a happy, white picket fence family. And that's kind of this idyllic vision that she wants to live in, but that's not actually real. And again, with her mind-altering, reality-altering powers, there's at one point, like even in the show, where they're like, we don't have any rings. And Vision goes, well, can't you just give us some? And she just like makes them appear. And so it's like, now we're really getting into this, like, where are we? What are the rules of this world? What are the rules of the real world? And how much power does Wanda actually have in either place? Which is pretty cool. The main complaints I've seen of the show are that it's too slow or too boring so far, which again, I think it's the first 2 episodes, and it's not just, I think a lot of these people are used to just going and sitting down and watching a Marvel movie, and that's it. And this is going to take just a little bit more patience.
And maybe that's why they're only 22 minutes long, because people, if it's too much longer, people will start punching out. Sure.
And maybe that's why they did it that way. Again, though, then why do you release 2 episodes at the same time? I don't know. I'll at the end, once I've seen all the episodes, maybe I'll have a better guess or a better theory, or someone will explain it to me, and I'll be able to say, I figured it out because this person told me how it worked. And then I'll have a better idea. But I originally heard it was 6 episodes. I was like, that's great. You do 6 high quality, 45-minute to an hour long episodes. Bam. And then they're like, it's going to be 9 episodes. And I was like, well, now I don't know what you're going to do with 9 episodes. How's that going to work? And then the first 2 episodes come out at the same time, and one's like 22 minutes, the next one's 30. And I was like,
well, now I don't want it.
Now I don't know what's going to happen. And again, it's not that I don't want it. It's not that I don't like it. I do like it. I'm just nitpicking that little thing. Like, that little thing is a nitpick for me. I was like, just leave it at 1 episode and just release the 1 episode. It would have been great. That's 1 full episode. And then you start in black and white and you end going into color. And then you don't have this weird break for no reason with 6 minutes of credits when you could have just had a 50-minute episode with 6 minutes of credits. That's when the 6 minutes of credits make sense, not when you break it. Anyway, again, not really that important.
Well, something that's kind of piquing my interest as far as the overall tone of WandaVision is Kevin Feige stated a little while ago that Doctor Strange 2 was going to be like, the MCU's first Marvel horror movie, and I feel like with the tone so far of WandaVision, I feel like this is going to be their transition into having Doctor Strange be that horror movie. Because when I think of the Avengers and I think of universe, mind altering stuff, it doesn't make me think of like spooky monsters or anything like that. It makes me think of like things like mind control, psychological distress, just general uncertainty. I find things like that a lot more scary than boo, there's a monster. And I think that WandaVision is going to be that transition into having that film not feel so jarring as far as having that kind of tone.
I heard they talked about Multiverse of Madness, like you said, being a horror movie, and someone else there've been reports of all different kinds of things, and I hate to even say reports because people just make stuff up and post it. But I have heard things like there's going to be, because of the Multiverse of Madness, literally anything can happen. So I take everything about this movie with a grain of salt. People are like, there's going to be werewolves and vampires in one part of it, and that's going to introduce Blade back into the MCU, and there's going to be like this, that, and the other thing as part of it. And it's like, you have to take everything you hear about this movie almost with like a massive grain of salt, because people can say whatever they want about it, and it's like, where'd you get that information from? So it's like, well, it's just something I'd like to say.
I wrote it down right here.
Are you kidding? Oh my gosh.
Well, what I liked about it was the way that they used the color. Like in that, I think it was the end of the second episode when she picks up that helicopter.
Mm-hmm.
And that helicopter is the colors of Iron Man.
And that, great point. Absolutely great point. And in a show or a movie where there is an absence of color, or it's on grayscale, black and white, and then they change or they show something that isn't color. I mean, color is a huge way to draw focus in any movie. Vivid color draws your focus. But if you're in a black and white movie and then something actually has color, I mean, that's huge. And we've seen it a couple times so far in WandaVision. We saw it in the first episode when the radio was going, the red light on the radio, that was red. We saw it when that one lady cut herself. And
also the poster.
And the poster.
Toaster.
Toaster.
The toaster.
Did you notice? I think it was like halfway through episode 2, the color came back into their eyes.
Yes. And yes, when certain parts when they look at each other came back into their eyes, and then at the end when she reversed time, so to seem, to make things like well again or whatever, that's when Vision for the first time is actually like in color. It's like now in full Technicolor. But that's actually, I mean, if you think about The Wizard of Oz, which is one of the first movies to have actual like real Technicolor, it started in black and white, and then when she went to this like actual land of craziness, that's when like the color came in, and then at the end it went back to black and white, showing her back in the real world. This is clearly taking a little bit of a different track, because it's not to say that black and white's the real world and now color isn't. In this case, it's more of all of this is in this fake world, and as long as they're like in this TV trope universe, they're still not in reality. And and I'll be waiting to see like what is reality, who's keeping them here. Again, those advertisements where we did see some color, the toaster, the radio, things like that. That's also where we're hearing those voices saying things like, who's doing this to you? Where are you? Like, what's going on? And that kind of like questioning this reality. And I don't know if you noticed, the clock was from the guy that experimented on her and her twin brother.
Strucker, the
yeah.
watch.
Strucker timepieces, yeah, that was the watch. And then the other one was Stark. And of course, Stark was the bomb that blew up, or didn't blow up, so to speak, like that she was trapped under with her brother. So like you see these hints of actual reality coming through. And again, another point was when the guy starts choking and you see that his wife, I don't remember, I think maybe it was Cam, you brought that up earlier, that she was still kind of like saying things in this kind of like, like even though he's choking and dying, she's still kind of doing this light, sitcom-ish type thing. Again, probably because she's not real like
right.
Vision and Wanda supposedly are.
Now, do you think she is the world that they're in is barf technology?
The barf.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that.
Barf technology, like we saw Tony Stark use in Captain America Civil War, and then we saw used against Tom Holland's Spider-Man and Spider-Man Far From Home when Mysterio used it to great effect. So that's that barf that can use, like, create holograms so real that you can't even tell that you're in one.
And it was also in Endgame.
Endgame as well. And that actually connects right up to your brain. So maybe they're using some sort of this technology on Wanda. But then if so, for what purpose? And who's doing it?
Exactly. I think it's to try and trick her into thinking, where she is and giving up whatever information that they're looking for, or some kind of secret or something, or how do we bring back somebody? See that now that wasn't supposed to come out until tomorrow. I don't know. I must somebody leaked that. Somebody leaked that.
Dave's got you bugged. Okay, I don't know. And again, this going right into things like Loki. We know Loki is a trickster. That's actually the one that I don't know what's going to happen in is, again, Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Snowman.
Captain Falcon. Falcon Punch. And the Winter Soldier. I don't know at all what's going to happen. Like, I have guesses for what's going to happen in Loki. I have guesses for what's going to happen in, like, Doctor Strange, at least as, like, long-term effects, like what they're setting up, things like that. Adding in mutants here, doing this there, Fantastic Four coming in there. I have, like, thoughts about all kinds of stuff. I have no idea what Falcon and Winter Soldier is going to be about.
So was
other than obviously those two, but like what? Doing what?
Was this the original release order, WandaVision and then Falcon, or were they supposed to come out at the same time? Or
I think it was one after the other.
I do originally think though that Falcon and Winter Soldier was supposed to have started streaming, I think, August of last year.
Yep.
And then WandaVision was gonna come like around Thanksgiving.
So Falcon was supposed to come first?
I think so.
That would be interesting. I'm not even sure on that. I guess things aren't happening. I guess it doesn't matter. Obviously, if they can release one in front of the other, it can't matter too much.
Well, it may be because Falcon and Winter Soldier doesn't have anything to do or have any connection to the multiverse, Doctor Strange or WandaVision. So if that doesn't affect anything, then WandaVision could come first and continue on with the so-called timeline.
And that
right.
is
where I was leading was, is Falcon and Winter Soldier now once WandaVision is over and you find out what, or expect to find out what is happening to them. Now, do they start to go and investigate and pick up on the little trails that are left behind from WandaVision and go off on their adventure, their worldwide adventure, you know, trying to figure out why this had happened to her. But if it doesn't come, you know, if it's it was meant to come out first, then there goes that theory.
And it could be that these events are taking place simultaneously. It could just be that, like, hey, look, WandaVision is literally focused on like WandaVision and what they're doing, and Falcon, Winter Soldier are over here. I would keep doing it. Are over here doing their thing, and then maybe they'll come together at another point. Because while I do, and a lot of people do, you know, the tying together of the Marvel movies, sometimes that can just be done in like end credits thing. Not the entire plot of the movie doesn't have to like match up with the entire plot of the next one, with the entire plot. Not everything has to be 100% connected. We can have stories that are like, this story is about Falcon and the Winter Soldier and no Captain. This story is about WandaVision, and then, you know, later they meet up and like, oh, now that I've seen you and what you've gone through over here, and you and what you've gone through over here, now you're teaming up and coming together, and I'm excited for that. So I do like to see things stand alone, stand for themselves, and then come together later. That's definitely cool.
I think that's what Falcon and Winter Soldier is going to do. I think that you know, of course, it's going to connect to the MCU and, you know, other ways, but I feel like that show is going to be like, well, not necessarily self-contained, but it's going to be somewhat standalone as far as its overall story, because they're bringing back Zemo, and as impressive of a character as he is, in terms of, you know, them setting up the multiverse and all this fantastical stuff, like in Thor: Love and Thunder, in the context of all that, Zemo's just a guy. You know, how much is he going to impact the story moving forward is my question, because they wouldn't bring him back just to have him be just the villain. He was the turning point of the entire Avengers story.
He broke him.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I'm just really curious to see how it goes, and I'm so excited for the show. But the Winter Soldier has been my favorite. Well, one of my favorite Marvel characters overall for, you know, close to 10 years now. I mean, I've got his arm tattooed on my arm, so I mean, I don't know. I'm excited. I get like a giddy little schoolgirl whenever I think about how close that show's getting to release.
Oh man, like I said, I'm looking forward to it partially just because I have no idea what's going to happen. And yeah, I like Bucky. I thought he was going to be the next captain, but and I do mean captain there, but
well, he does still have, you know, time to join the Thunderbolts, you know, with Thunderbolt Ross. I don't know if you followed that story at all, but
well, I mean, wasn't also well. I'm not going to get into that right now.
Well, because with them bringing back Thunderbolt Ross for Falcon and Winter Soldier, I mean, to my knowledge, I think they're doing that, and you know, with the story threads that were left off before about him experimenting with like the super soldier serum and stuff like that, I think that this will be kind of a coming of age story or type of story for Falcon and Winter Soldier. Falcon's gonna grow and mature into his new role as Captain America, whereas Bucky is going to mature into this other role, maybe not necessarily for the Thunderbolts, but something along those lines. He's going to remain almost like an anti-hero.
Interesting. You know, can't even say. And maybe we'll get some clues as we go through WandaVision more, or maybe it won't be that directly related to one or the other. And maybe we'll get like a post-credit scene. Maybe we'll actually get one of those in like the last episode of WandaVision. Maybe each last episode of these miniseries will have something that ties us into the next one or something like that. Because I still believe that they want to do that sort of thing. Keep it all connected in at least small ways like that. We have been going for over an hour here, but I think we might have our guest here, John. Is he?
I think so. I think he tried to log in. Do you see him on your system there?
Oh, I got a window here. Let's see. Okay, so we have a very special guest joining us now. You may recognize him from Deadpool 2. This is member of the X-Force, the Vanisher. Vanisher, so glad to have you with us today. How did you survive the events of Deadpool 2? Is he?
I don't know. He may be.
He might be having mic issues. We've been having some mic issues.
Well, we lost Dave, so we might. I don't know. Maybe his camera.
Vanisher.
He's trying to log in. Yeah, Vanisher, are you there? I don't know. He might be. He might have gone to the bathroom. So.
Do you want to build a snowman? Well, Vanisher, we're sorry that you're having some mic trouble. It's okay. It happens to the best of us. We absolutely loved you in Deadpool 2, and we hope to have you back on the show next time. I mean, wow, I got to say, John, you are really good at getting those special guests. That was.
I'm glad that one didn't leak.
It was seminal.
Be careful. I think we got this covered as monitoring our feed.
This just in, the Vanisher appears on Geek News Now Live.
Deadpool 3 confirmed.
Just circle the look. Again, though, just now that we're going to close up here soon, but to end where we began, Deadpool 3, I'm looking forward to it. I love the 2 Deadpool movies. That Vanisher joke that we just did, it killed me. It killed me. Like when they were doing it the first time and they're like, I don't know if he's here or not. And then they just knifed the picture of his empty picture of that. And then later when he electrocutes himself and for 2 frames of the movie, it's Brad Pitt. And it's like Brad Pitt was the Vanisher. And I'm just like, that is how you do a cameo. Okay. That is how you do it. It's amazing. And you know that Ryan Reynolds set that up. But he was just like, hey, Brad, come on. 2 seats. Like 2 frames. 2 frames. You'll be the favorite character other than this Peter guy. And also Matt Damon, of course, if you didn't know, made a cameo as one of the 2 hillbillies that Cable steals their truck from. He's the guy who goes on a very long and surprisingly smart rant about using wet wipes on your bum. So again, the Deadpool movies.
Yeah, but then you know, Matt Damon also cameoed in Thor 3, so now this just breaks the entire universe.
He did, and I heard he was possibly making another cameo in the next Thor movie, so it'll be funny to see if he's playing that same actor character guy that he was, because he was playing an actor. So I would absolutely love to see that.
He is in Australia.
Yeah, that's what I said. I heard that he was where they're shooting.
Yeah.
Thor: Love and Thunder. So I'm hoping that he's doing another little cameo there. That would be great, or even something bigger. Who knows? I like Matt Damon, especially in cameo roles. I like him as an actor, but in cameo roles, he's absolutely hilarious. He has done some of the most self-effacing bits I've ever seen, and made himself look like a complete jag on several different shows that I love. And I'm just like, this guy doesn't care. I love it.
Well, that's how you become popular. If you can make fun of yourself, you attract more people than if you're a pompous douche. So that's just the way I see it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Matt Damon's next cameo is just going to be his puppet from Team America.
Yeah. So what do you think of
Shut up and take my money.
What do you think of the Deadpool rumors that he will be the new Stan Lee in cameos?
I'm all for it.
Again, Debbie, what do you think before I go?
I'd be all for it. I think it would be hilarious just to see him pop up in dumb things.
I think it's one of the more fitting possibilities. There are a couple of different possibilities you could choose from. I would think it'd be great. Again, we talked about how some people are like, you can't have a Deadpool movie without it being rated R. But the other thing is that Deadpool is aware of where he is. He's self-aware. He knows that he's in movies. He knows what company owns him. He's aware of all these things. So he could definitely do cameos and relate to that sort of thing in the cameo. I think you'd have a hard time finding a better choice than him, honestly.
I think my opinion is it would be good in lighter Marvel movies like Guardians of the Galaxy, but in heavy movies like say Infinity War or Endgame, you cannot break it up with some guy going, "Oh, look at this guy, he just lost his arm." You know, it's like,
well, then that's why I think we're talking about, in this case, like a cameo. And that's also why it wouldn't work, because if he's going to be a member of the X-Force and a member of the Avengers, then he might have a big role to play in these movies, a bigger role than just like a Stan Lee cameo. And so that, like you're saying, like, yeah, that wouldn't work as well there. You couldn't have him like every single minute, just like making all these, there are some, a joke every now and again that might work. One cameo that would work. But if you want this movie to have the impact that you're, a heavy emotional movie, you can't constantly have Ryan Reynolds,
right?
being God's perfect idiot,
I think the track that they need to go down with that is sort of the Ant-Man, because Ant-Man was funny in his 2 movies, but you put him in Endgame and he has maybe 2 funny lines in there, and everything else is serious, and that's the way it needs to be. It can't be an Ant-Man comedy or a Deadpool comedy, so to speak.
Right. I agree. So we've been going on for over an hour here. Unless anyone else has anything else that they want to particularly speak up about. Anybody?
I do want to say I think WandaVision is going the way of House of M. And I think I brought that up to Cam earlier. My son mentioned it to me, and I think by doing a little bit of research, I think that's where they're going, or at least a version of it, just with all the Easter eggs and at least one character that I know of who directly relates to House of M, the fabulous neighbor Agnes. I think she is probably Agatha Harkness.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure of that because she's wearing that brooch that she wears in the comics. And I just think that's the road they're going down. I don't know if anybody else agrees with that, but
I think you may be right. I think if not a direct adaptation, obviously they're going to be pulling tons of stuff. They already are. They're pulling tons of stuff from House of M. Like, it's not going to be a direct adaptation, but a lot like Agatha. I think you're right about that. There's been hints to the character Mephisto.
mm-hmm.
So I think we're gonna see more of that coming forward, and obviously as we're revealed new things in the new episodes. But
Well,
I definitely think you're onto something there.
And with her baby bump showing magically, I think that's the magical twins. I think that's where that's going. I think, well, especially in that second episode, they kept saying for the children.
For the children.
For the children. And it just kind of got me thinking. Of course, then the baby bump popped up. And I thought, I wonder if they were talking about, her kids that she's supposed to be having. So
I need to watch it again, but I don't remember seeing any other kids in that town. So there definitely weren't kids at the magic show for the kids.
Yeah, for the kids. Yeah, no. You don't really see any. And who got her pregnant? Vision, the android? Like, again, questions. We have questions.
well,
I have questions.
In House of M, I think Agatha helps her with that.
And so again, this
sure.
is what we were talking about. People are like, how is Vision alive? How is this happening? How is that happening? It's like, well, again, especially if you're not familiar with House of M, we're not sure what's real and what isn't right now. But we can be pretty sure that the stuff that's everything we've seen so far is not reality. It's some sort of midway mind control weird.
I know what's going to happen, but I'm going to have to keep that close now since I'm being monitored by people. So, no, not yet.
Damn.
Okay, well, since you're the guy who's worried about the leaks, I just have to ask you: at what point does Nicolas Cage show up?
Oh, he was in it already. He was the tree that was behind the house that was rapping on the window.
His breakout performance of the year, actually.
Yeah.
So I think we can call it a stream there. I'd like to thank all of my panelists, Debbie, Cam, and John, for being on with me tonight. You can catch more of John at the Geek and I podcast. Catch more Cam on Cam in Focus here on GNN. And Debbie is part of our social media team. So if you're familiar with any of our wonderful social media pages, you've probably seen posts by her for you all about the geek stuff that we all love and enjoy. And remember, you can always head over to geeknewsnow.net for all your geek news needs. We've got a great website there, and we've got a lot of great stuff coming in the future. We're looking at starting giveaways, contests, prizes. So you want to make sure that you're subscribed and commenting and letting us know what's up so that we can get you involved in our, upcoming awesome stuff. So thank you guys all for being here. Great discussion, and I'll see you next time. Say goodbye, everybody.